The reason you can't find the right words during a heated argument or a high-stakes presentation isn't a lack of intelligence. It's that your brain has physically locked the doors to your logic center. We'll show you the 3-step system for emotional interference to reclaim your cognitive power when you need it most.
Yeah, that quote, it really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? That feeling when your mind just goes blank? It's not you. It's not a personal failing. It's a biological event. Think of it this way. It's a hardware problem, not a software problem. And what we're going to do right now is give you the user manual to fix it.
We have a name for this whole thing. We call it the Biological Lockout. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a security system in some high-tech building. An alarm gets pulled, and bam, certain doors automatically lock for safety. Well, your brain does the exact same thing. The only difference is the doors it locks are the ones leading to your best thinking, your logic, your planning, your ability to find the right words. But here's the good news, right? Every single lockout has an override code.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll define what this biological lockout really is. Then, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the anatomy of a neural hijack. Basically, what's happening in your brain. From there, we'll show you the override. And then, the best part, a super practical 3-step protocol. By the end, you'll see how to go from just reacting to actually being productive when the pressure is on.
All right, let's dive right into this kind of cruel paradox of high performance. It's this weird irony, right? The situations that matter the most to us, a huge negotiation, a really tough conversation, a project deadline that's breathing down your neck, those are the exact moments our brains decide to check out. It's like the more you care, the less you can actually think. It's maddening. Okay, I really want you to focus on the words here. Structurally evict logic. This is not a metaphor, people. This is real. When your emotions spike, your brain physically, and I mean physically, reroutes blood flow and resources away from your prefrontal cortex. That's your logic center. It gets throttled, just like an engine getting started fuel. And the result? Your cognitive throughput, your mental bandwidth, it literally shrinks. You're left with less processing power right when you need it most. So, if your logic is getting evicted, who's the landlord kicking it out? To figure that out, we've got to do a little neural forensics. Let's deconstruct what's actually happening inside your brain's ancient and, frankly, very powerful alarm system.
Okay, meet the culprit. The main trigger, your amygdala. It's this little almond-shaped part of your brain, and you can think of it as your own personal smoke detector. It is brutally fast and super efficient, because it evolved to spot threats like, a saber-toothed tiger in the bushes. Here's the problem, though. Its software never got updated for the modern world. So it treats a critical email from your boss or the fear of public speaking with the exact same 5-alarm fire response as a predator. To the amygdala, a threat is a threat.
Now, once that amygdala alarm goes off, it triggers something called the HPA Axis. Don't worry about the full name. Just think of it as the chemical factory for your stress response. It floods your system with adrenaline for that instant jolt of energy and cortisol to keep you on high alert. This is an absolutely brilliant chemical cocktail if you need to outrun a lion. But it's a complete disaster when you're trying to navigate a complex spreadsheet or have a delicate conversation.
So this whole hijack happens in a brutally simple 4-step cascade. Check it out. Step 1, the amygdala screams, threat. Step 2, the HPA axis hits the big red panic button, flooding you with all those survival chemicals. Now step 3, this is the crucial part. Your brain makes a quick decision. To power up your muscles for fight or flight, it's got to cut power from what it sees as non-essential systems. And from a pure survival standpoint, complex, nuanced thinking is totally non-essential, so your prefrontal cortex gets throttled. And that leads directly to step 4, executive blackout. Your access to your best thinking, it's just gone.
And that blackout means you are literally running on a different operating system. You see, you've basically got 2 competing brains in your skull. When you're calm, your logical brain, your PFC, is the one in charge. It's sophisticated, it's strategic. But the second a threat is detected, the survival brain, which is driven by that panicked amygdala, takes over. It's all instinct, all reaction, all blunt force. The hijack is that moment your advanced OS gets forcibly shut down and replaced by a primitive, buggy.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's biological, it's automatic, and man, is it powerful. But here it is. This is the aha moment of this entire explainer. That system, it has a built-in manual override. There's a neurochemical key that allows you to consciously unlock the very doors that your amygdala just slammed shut.
And that brings us to the question that changes everything, right? If this whole thing is biological, if you can't just will your way out of it because your thinking brain is offline, what tool could you possibly use? The answer is so incredibly elegant, and it's all about how you use language. A technique is called affect labeling.
And it's as simple as it sounds. You just name the emotion you're feeling. Now, this simple act works like a neurological switch. And the reason why it works is fascinating. See, to find the right word, like frustration or anxiety or overwhelm, you have to use your prefrontal cortex. The very act of searching for that label and saying it, even in your head, forces your brain to redirect blood flow and resources back to your logic center. You are literally pulling energy away from that emotional, reactive amygdala and giving it back to your thoughtful, rational PFC. You're overriding the hijack in real time. But here's the secret sauce. How you label is the absolute tactical core of this whole system. You have to shift from being the emotion to observing the emotion. Look at this. When you say, "I am furious," you're fusing your identity with that feeling. That verb am makes it who you are in that moment. But watch what happens when you switch to an objective noun. I am detecting signals of anger. All of a sudden, you're not the victim of the feeling, you're a scientist observing a piece of data. This tiny linguistic shift creates huge psychological distance. It sends a message to your brain that you are separate from the threat signal, and that's the key to calming the amygdala down and bringing your PFC back online.
Okay, so we've got the key, affect labeling. Now let's build it into a repeatable, tactical drill. This isn't something you just hope you'll remember to do when you're stressed. No. This is a protocol you practice so that when the pressure hits, your response is automatic. This is about taking cognitive command.
The protocol has 3 simple, distinct phases. First is the scan. That's your early warning system. Second is the bridge, where you use that affect labeling technique to cross back over into your logical mind. And third is the lock, a final step to secure your focus so the emotion can't hijack you again. Let's break each one down. Step 1 is all about diagnosis. You can't label an emotion if you don't even know it's creeping up on you. And the hijack doesn't start in your head, it starts in your body. This is called interoception, basically your ability to sense what's going on inside. You need to train yourself to notice those first physical signs. Your heart beating a little faster, your jaw getting tight, maybe some heat rising in your chest. These are the data points that tell you a hijack is coming. Catching them early gives you that critical window to intervene before your PFC goes completely dark.
All right, step 2, the re-entry. As soon as your body scan alerts you, you immediately use the affect labeling bridge. You literally shift from "I am so stressed" to "my system is detecting stress." You go from "I am angry" to "I am observing signals of anger." You use that clinical detached noun. This is the inhibitory signal we were talking about. It tells the amygdala, "Hey, stand down, the logic center has got this." It's the bridge that gets you out of that emotional swamp and back onto the solid ground of rational thought.
But here's the thing. Just opening the door back to your logic center isn't quite enough. You have to lock it open. That's step 3, the Cognitive Displacement Task. So your working memory, which is kind of like your brain's RAM, is still filled with all that emotional gunk. You need to actively flush it out. And you do this by performing a simple, totally non-emotional 30-second logic task. Something like mentally counting backwards from 100 by 7s, or naming 5 blue objects in the room you're in. This forces your brain to use its RAM for logical data, which effectively shoves the emotion out and anchors you firmly back in your prefrontal cortex. So, when you put these 3 steps together, scan, label, lock, something really remarkable happens. This stops being about just surviving tough moments. This becomes a foundational skill for elite performance. You're actually moving beyond just reacting to things and into a state of intentional productivity no matter what's going on around you. And you know why this protocol is so effective? It's because it totally sidesteps the exhausting and usually losing battle of willpower. You're not trying to suppress your feelings or just pretend they aren't there. That's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a ton of energy, and eventually it's going to pop right back up in your face. Instead of fighting, you're skillfully managing the hardware that processes those feelings. You're becoming an engineer of your own mind, not a warrior fighting against it. So let's boil this whole thing down to 3 simple commands you need to burn into your memory. 1. Scan. Detect your body's early warning signals. 2. Label. Name the emotion like you're a scientist observing it. And 3. Lock. Engage a quick 30-second logic task. That's it. Scan, label, lock. That's the system for owning your state, especially under pressure. And this really brings us to the ultimate takeaway. We often think productivity is all about time management or just grinding harder. But true, sustainable productivity, it's really about state management. It's about mastering the internal systems that make your focus consistent and effortless, even when the world outside is pure chaos. Because here's the thing, calmness isn't a result of intelligence, it's a prerequisite for it.
By learning to regulate your own biology first, you unlock the full power of your mind to solve whatever problem is in front of you. And that, right there, is the ultimate competitive advantage. So the only question left is, which system will you use to own your state?